Hey, what's up? Welcome to this episode of 49 Faithful Lee. I'm your host, Miriah Lee, as always, joined by my co host, TL. What's going on?
Oh, going well. Glad to see our Niners in the playoffs, even though I doubted them after the Colts game. So before we start, I'm gonna go ahead and announce the giveaway. I put it on Twitter, but me and me and Mariah both were, had said earlier about, if the team made the playoffs that we were gonna go ahead and pick a random winner to win a T-shirt and a hat off of Fanatics, and the winner of our giveaway is Jamal Armstrong. So congratulations, Jamal! I had my little 11-year-old put the names in a hat, and then she just picked out all the subscribers and stuff, and he happened to be the winner. So yeah, congratulations, Jamal! I ordered your stuff. I know I talked to you on the phone earlier, and appreciate you giving me all the info. So whenever that comes to me, I'll go ahead and ship it right to your house. So
Yeah, congrats to Jamal. That was a fast. He picked his stuff super fast.
yeah. Well, it was funny about him is we actually have each other's phone number, so it made it a little easier.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, it was made it a little easier. But I was just like, oh, somebody I can actually know. So yeah, um, so yeah, and then two, I want to also add to it because we did make the playoffs. So what's up, JV and Tanya, 49er Chanel. So what I'm gonna do also is if we make the Super Bowl, I'm gonna do the same thing. So if we make the Super Bowl, I'm going to do another giveaway and I'll reach out to a winner and it's going to be the same thing. So like and subscribe, tell everybody out there and stuff. But I get it. I wouldn't tell anybody either because it lessens your chance to win. So
I always think about that on other people's shows. Like, damn it, why didn't nobody tell me they were doing a giveaway? And I'm like,
yeah,
probably they don't want other people to win, so they don't want to
yeah,
share it.
exactly.
Um, but yeah, so that's cool. Maybe I'll win the next one if we make the Super Bowl. I'm
Yeah.
gonna put my name in the hat.
He actually picked he got to pick so what I did was I gave him a customized shirt that he got to choose. So he told me I don't care who it is. He's like, but I go, give me three players. And then he goes, I like Debo. I go, give me your three favorite players. He goes, Debo, Jimmy Ward, and Ambry Thomas. So I did a coin flip on all of them. And so I'm not going to tell you who I got you, Jamal, but they're going to be surprised. But it is one of those three players. So,
That's cool.
yeah.
And then the hat.
The hat, it's just a red 49ers hat. And then it's a red 49ers shirt. So he'll be flamed up.
All right,
Yeah.
that's good. Um, so yeah, we're gonna kind of switch things up today. We're gonna touch on the Rams game a little bit since obviously, we went in there and kicked their ass. And that was a stressful game. But I feel like, everybody's touched on that and, kind of through that already.
Yeah.
So we'll touch on that a little bit. And then we're going to go ahead and do some regular season awards for the 49ers. And then, of course, we'll touch on the Cowboys game and us being in the playoffs. Um, so, yeah, that Rams game, we ended up winning 27-24 in OT. Um, it was crazy because by the time I was able to turn on the game, we were already losing 17-0. And I'm like, oh man, like this is bad. This is not good at all, right? Um, so yeah. What did you think of the game? Were you completely stressed out in the first half? um, and how did you feel about the ending and how it ended and who it ended with and everything?
Yeah. Well, and like Mariah said, everybody's been talking about it all week. Our show's always a little bit later, so we kind of touch up on stuff after everybody's been talking about it for 4 or 5 days. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I sat there and I was bashing Kyle. I wasn't even mad at Jimmy, to be honest. I'm just more of just like, man, like the man's injured. Why you putting him in there? So I was upset with Kyle, but I actually owe Kyle an apology as well because he got in his bag in the second half. I feel like we got in such a hole. I felt like it was too hard to come back from. I'm just like, man, like, and I felt like the first half that the Rams took the 49ers blueprint in a way because they were doing exactly what we do. Like they run the ball, they were eating clock. I think that first drive took like 6-7 minutes. I'm
Yeah.
just like, man, I go McVay's trying to do like Kyle. Like he's really trying to just run the ball, even though the running game wasn't working, but they were still doing it. Like they were running the ball, and then Stafford was eating us up on third down. I'm just like, man, I go, here we go again. So, but yeah, and then Kyle got in his bag, and then that run game started coming alive. He got creative, and I want to give props to Debo because he's the one that tied that game up with a touchdown pass, and then that well, I don't know what it was, like a 18-19 touchdown run or whatever he had. So yeah, I mean, and then the defense, turned it up a notch in the second half, and we look good. Jimmy, even though he put us in the hole, I'm gonna say that he didn't play a great game, so I'm not going to give him credit for the whole game, obviously. To say he had a great game is asinine, and I don't know why people would say that. But he was clutch. He gave us 2 to 3 solid drives when it counted. He had some clutch throws. I mean, that one, the middle over to Ayuk was nice, and then the one over to Debo. And let's give a shout out to Juwan Jennings.
Yeah.
Juwan Jennings is just, man, he's turned into Kendrick Bourne 2.0, and I think he could be better. I think he'd be better than Kendrick Bourne. He's bigger. I don't think he's faster, but he's bigger. He's just a bigger target, and I think somebody said out of his 24 catches, 20 of them went for first down or touchdown. So the man's
Yeah.
been doing his thing. And I think going forward, I'm excited because I think we found our 3 wide receiver set finally. Took us a while. But I feel like this is the first time, since Kyle's been here that we can actually say that we have a solid wide receiving core. So I'm
Yeah.
happy about that. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We're in the playoffs. We're 10-7. We went 7-2 on our last 9 games. So kudos to the team for turning it around when I thought they were dead in the water. So
Yeah, this game was a tale of two halves, right? And I think our whole entire season was a tale of two halves. It's like, the first half of the season was looking, whew, we were ready to just, trade the farm. Let's get ready for next season and call it quits, throw in the rookies, let them get experience, and let's
mhm.
go. But man, the 49ers, they really turned the whole season around. And the same with this game, like the first half was looking like they the Rams really came out to stop us,
Yeah,
and
they did.
like they were going to put a beating down on us. And some crazy things before I switch over to the second half is that I have never seen a coach out in the end zone celebrating with his team in the first and second quarter of a football game, when there's still so much time left. And he's
Yeah,
out there in the end zone, like, like acting like he just won the Super Bowl.
yeah, that was ridiculous, and I'm surprised that it wasn't unsportsmanlike conduct. Like, what the heck are you doing all the way in the middle of the field in the end zone, bro? Like, if that was a player, it would have been a flag.
Yeah.
So
Like you
yeah, I
could
just
tell like this game was everything to him to
for
win,
McVay, yeah.
like man. And then yeah, then we came, us getting those 3 points going into the half and then coming out in the second and getting the ball. And, we pretty much dominated that second half on
Oh, for
offense
sure.
and defense. And the way it ended with Ambry getting the interception, like that was so awesome for him.
Hmm.
And like
Go
he's done
blue, by the way.
he's done
Go
such a
blue.
great job, like getting better each week. And
Yeah.
everything from the first games, once he finally got to start, everything that we complained about, like, him at the catch point and him, not getting his hands on the ball and this and that. It's like each week he got better and better at each of those things.
Yeah, you're
So,
right.
hopefully I look for him, to have a great season next season,
Yeah,
hopefully.
you're right. Because if that was the first or second game, that was probably a touchdown or a pass interference call or something. But the
Yep.
fact that he tracked the ball in the air and all that, and it's just awesome because we sit there and we've been calling for the rookies all year, and this isn't even about Trey. We've been talking about what's his name, Aaron Banks, or
Yeah.
Diamador Lenore, whatever the case may be. And it just goes to show you that with reps they get better. I mean, you look at Elijah Mitchell from the first game. Even though he had, I think, he had 100 yards, but he was struggling to hit the holes. Like his vision, you can tell it wasn't right. But as you can see, the progression in the way he's running the football every week. And this last game, it was amazing to see how quick he was hitting the holes. Like his vision had improved just that much, from week 1 to week 18. 2019. Like you can just see him as a difference night and day. And he would have got 1,000 yards if it wasn't for the injuries. And it's the
Yeah.
same thing with Ambry Thomas. Like, we talked about this. It's like, the first game, it's like, here you go, kid. I know you haven't played all year, but go. I want you to shadow Jamar Chase all game. And it's like, man. And then all of a sudden you go, okay, the next game, here's Kyle Pitts now. Okay, now A.J. Brown. It's like, oh my God, like you're just putting this man in so many. And then you can tell in his fifth game, because this was his fifth game, because he also had I don't think he shadowed him that much, but against Houston Texans, he had Brandon Cooks for a couple snaps. So, yeah,
Yeah.
just showing that he's improved every game. And then what's funny is it took the rookie to seal the game. He got that
Yep.
interception and game over. So I'm happy for the kid. I'm a Wolverines fan in college football, so that makes me extra happy that he was out there making plays. So,
Yeah. That
sorry,
play
John B.
that play was just as awesome to me as Greenlaw with the goal line stand against
Oh,
Seattle, like just seeing them both in that moment to be able to get, that, and it was awesome. Um but yeah, like you said, Jimmy came up clutch at the ends. I think I'm not going to say he had a great game either, because he put us in that situation to have to dig us out, it's like I can't say somebody had a great game when they threw two interceptions, one in the end zone and had a fumble. Luckily that our team recovered.
yeah, which was
But
kind of questionable. Did you see that?
yeah.
Like at first I was like, oh my God, I think the Rams might have it, but it went in our favor. So yeah, I was happy about that.
Yeah, I feel like they never even gave like a real like clear decision on like that whole situation. Just all
Yeah,
of a sudden the 49ers had the ball, it was like, okay. um but yeah, I think that it's just crazy to me that. Oh, and also before I move on to that, about like McVay celebrating, did you see Aaron Donald the same? Like he's on the sideline in the fourth quarter with like a few minutes to go, like giving everybody high five, like congratulating them and
yeah,
celebrating already. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like I've never seen a team act like that. Like they had it in the bag already before the game was even over. Like the way
yeah.
that they were acting. Like that was really strange to me.
They should be flat out embarrassed by the way they acted over there celebrating when the game is 60 minutes, but you want to celebrate with like a minute and a half, 2 minutes left because I think that's when Jimmy took that sack, huh? And
Yep.
everybody was like, oh, game over. But nah,
Yep.
he was clutch. I got to give the man his props.
Yeah, and you're celebrating when, especially, there's still time left, and it's a team that's beat you so many times in a row. Like you're so quick to early celebrate, it's like, I don't know, crazy. But it's hella crazy that now we're 6-0 in the last 6 games against them. That's 3 years that we've beat them, 2-0 each year. Like that usually doesn't happen, in a division like
Yeah,
how it is.
it's true.
Um, but yeah, enough with the Rams. I'm sick of hearing about the Rams
Yes,
already.
seriously.
um, I wanted to just give out some regular season awards because the All Pro Bowl award, like what, I don't know what it's called, votes or ballot or nominees, or the
Yeah,
team. The team came out today, and Trent Williams and Debo Samuel made it. Um, I think that there are some players that definitely got snubbed, Bosa for being one. That's why I decided to
absolutely.
rock my Bosa jersey today, because the ends that made it over him, I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, Max Crosby, like,
Yeah,
come on now. Like, yeah, that's ridiculous.
just because like his pressures, but on in Bosa's rookie year when he had like the most outrageous amount of pressures, they didn't want to do Pro Bowl voting based on pressures, but now
Hmm.
this year all of a sudden we're voting in people that have a lot of pressures but have no sacks,
Yeah,
like it's just. And Bosa's in all the numbers of all the categories is higher than Max Crosby, except for pressures.
yeah.
So it's just that he really hella got snubbed in
Yeah,
that.
he got snubbed for sure. Like to me, it's an absolute joke that and don't get me wrong, Max Crosby is a good player.
Yeah.
For him to make it over Bosa, that doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah, yeah, it's crazy.
Um,
49er minded, what up?
So that's what made me really want to just switch it up and us do some awards for our team, since obviously, our players don't get the recognition that they deserve.
Yeah.
So let's start off. I know some of these, we're gonna obviously we can't help but have the same answers, but I try to give, if there's like a dead answer that I knew that you would have, then I tried to, give like the
Try to change
runner
it
up.
up a little bit. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So let's start. And again, this is just for our team. So the rookie of the year. And obviously, not that many of our rookies got to play, but based on the ones that did, you
Well,
can
that's
go ahead
pretty
and
easy.
start
That's
it out.
pretty easy to me. Elijah
Yeah.
Mitchell. That's easy. I mean, the man missed 3 games, or was it 3 or 4? No, I think it was more than that, huh? Maybe about 5. Well, anyway, I don't know how many games he missed, but the fact that he missed so many games and still was like pretty close to getting 1,000 yard season, shows that he can be an elite rusher, because you put him in for those 4 or 5 games he missed, you're talking maybe 1,300 yards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean the man has he did his job. Comes in as a 6th round pick. I mean, obviously it was unfortunate that our main running back is hurt in Mostert, but he stepped up to the plate. I mean, he beats out somebody that was drafted earlier than him and Trey Sermon.
Yep.
So yeah, I give him his props. So yeah, he definitely gets my rookie of the year.
Yeah, and that's one, that I obviously knew that would get it, but so I decided to give mine to Ambry Thomas for the reasons that we just talked about. Once he finally got his playing time, he's done exactly what we want to see from a rookie and improve, each game, pretty much, play by play. And what I love most about him is that even when he does have a bad play and gets beat, like every corner is going to get beat,
Of course,
that's
yeah,
that's just how it is. But when that happens, he doesn't lose his confidence,
exactly.
and we've seen from our cornerbacks in the past, that if they lose their confidence like that ended up killing some of them,
Yeah, like
like they weren't able.
Witherspoon, and
Yep.
yeah,
He was never able to get it back. He could have been such a great corner for us, but once his confidence was done, he was pretty much done for us. So I love that Ambry, has the confidence that he has, and that when he does get beat, he has that mindset that it's next play.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
like I said,
and to
I
go
can't.
yeah, to go off of that too, before, because it's kind of fresh on my mind. What's good about Ambry too is, you remember when he got drafted and they were interviewing all the rookies, and somebody had brought up oh, what do you feel about the Bay Area prices for rent? And he was like, oh my God, he was just like, well, you know what, I'm gonna let my play do the talking, and or to do the play feed my pockets, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Like, he pretty much said, like, I'm not worried about the money because my play is gonna handle business. And you know what? Like you said, like, he started off shaky, but he got better every year, and hopefully he can go on from this and he can prove everybody right. Like, yeah, I don't care about how much it costs in the Bay Area. My play will do the talking and take care of it for me. So
Yeah.
that's awesome to me.
Yeah, like I said, I can't wait to see what, like what next year, like, like he even said in his pressers this week, and obviously we talked about before, is that he didn't play last season, so with him getting this experience now to end the year, hopefully, next season with him, having this little bit of time under his belt, he can start next season off and be great. I think him and E-Man, if they don't, I mean, we'll see what happens in the draft, but
Yeah,
I'm like, I wouldn't feel that bad going into next season with those two as our
not at
starting
all.
corners.
Nope, not at all.
Um, Comeback player. I think we're gonna pretty much
It's
have the
pretty,
same person
yeah.
for this.
Um, Nick Bosa.
Yep.
For sure. Like, the man, what was he tore his ACL, week 2 or 3, whatever it was. He tore it
Yeah.
real early in the season. And for him to come back the way he did. And you know what? I'm gonna say something. Niners, 49er players, I know we're a small show, but if you happen to come to our channel and watch, take the Nick Bosa approach. He got hurt and he trained and rehabilitated away from the facility,
Right.
and he's been amazing. So I don't know what he did. Maybe you need to talk to him about who he trained with and who he rehabbed with. But the man looks good. He slimmed down a little bit. I mean, he looks good. And the fact that he was double and sometimes triple teamed all year, and to get the sacks that he did was amazing. So yeah, he's definitely my pick.
Yeah, and I didn't even pick a. I knew that's who you were gonna pick, and I didn't pick a runner up because that's obviously has to be my pick too.
Yeah,
And I really hate that for the NFL awards that things are so strictly like quarterback,
driven.
winning
Yeah,
driven,
yeah.
and like I get sometimes quarterbacks obviously, are the person that should win, but there's a lot of things that they win that clearly they shouldn't be the winners of. And so I think with Nick Bosa, like he's never gonna win that, right? With
Yeah.
Dak, and then even if Dak didn't win it, there's
You can
Burrow,
you can say Joe Burrow. Yeah.
yeah. So what I appreciate the most about like his comeback is that from game one he was on it. It didn't take like he didn't have no rust. It didn't take him no, getting into football shape or getting into, and he hardly even practiced, like hardly even did anything during the preseason, during, any of that shit. So for him to just start week one and already be like on the top of his game, like the whole time, the whole season has been amazing. And like you said, he gets doubled and triple teamed every single game. And if that's not happening, he's being held.
Absolutely. Get
And
put in
it never gets,
chokeholds.
and this is since, the Super Bowl, probably in the playoffs, since his rookie
Yeah.
year that this has been happening. And the guy hardly gets any of those penalties called,
Hmm.
and he's able to still make an impact. And then not only that, when he's not able to get to the quarterback, since he's taken all that attention, it frees up, you know, guys to be able to get there, like Arden Key and Armstead and all them.
DJ Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're
You're
able to
right.
get to the quarterback because they all have one-on-ones because Bosa has three guys on him.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
Yeah, I think the only
obviously.
way that Boza would have had any chance of winning this award for the NFL would have been if he led the league in sacks.
Yeah.
Like I think JV, stop taking my shine, man. No, I'm just playing because I'm about to name him in a little bit. But yeah, no, I totally agree. But you know what? I'm gonna say this, and I know, I love my Niners, but I'm a realist at the same time. Even though I know it is a quarterback thing, I truly believe Dak deserves comeback player of the year. And the reason why I say that, he led his team to the first place in his division, 12-5, and Dallas was a number one offense with him at quarterback. So I can't, you know what I mean. As much as I hate the Cowboys, like he did his thing this year. I can't knock him if he wins the award. I can't be too mad.
I mean, it's not hard to lead your
And
team to the top of that division, but
in the
yeah.
in the NFC least,
Yeah. But yeah, I think, obviously with, like we said, with Bosa getting triple teams and now teams, chipping him and doing everything they pretty much can to stop him, his sack numbers have slowed down towards the end of the season.
hmm
I feel like if he would have kept how he was, the beginning half of the season with those numbers throughout the year, like he would have really had a great case for it. But I do believe that Dak won it as well, and not only just for the injury, but with his brother, right before his injury, with him losing his brother, to suicide, and then
hmm
the injury, that's a
yeah,
lot, mentally and physically to have to be able to come
absolutely,
over. Yeah.
yeah, you're totally right.
Um, hey, Sin. But yeah, so next we'll go with defensive player of the year.
Okay, so I went a little bit different on this. Um, Even though as much as I love Nick Bosa and what he did for us, I'm gonna say the unsung hero of this whole defense, Jimmy Ward. That man is a difference maker on this football team. Like when he doesn't play, it shows. And I know he only missed the one game this year, but he just, I mean, he's like he's. I don't even know if he's a captain. Is he a captain?
Yeah.
I don't even think he is. Okay,
Yeah, this is his first season.
the first year's a captain, so he's a captain. I mean, he knows like so here's me. So I played a little bit of strong safety in high school, so I pay attention to that position a lot, strong and free. So looking at him and how he like, I see him come up to like the linebacker sometimes before the snap, and he tells them stuff like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I see this, I see that." So for him to go back there and call, obviously. Nick Bosa can't do that because he's up on the line. But for Jimmy Ward to be coming up to the linebacker and telling him what he sees, I see him go up to Tart, Hafanga, whoever's ever playing that other spot, to K1. He's like, hey, look, this is what I'm seeing, stuff like that. For him to be calling stuff out is amazing to me. Like, so I think he, to me, deserves a defensive player after Boza, obviously. But I know that's probably who you picked, so I'm gonna give it to him.
Yeah, I thought that you were gonna pick Bosa, so I chose Jimmy Ward as well.
Are you? That's awesome. That's
and
awesome.
and yeah, I mean, for everything that you just said, I feel
Yeah.
like, at the beginning of the season, we've seen him, go on a couple, podcasts, and he just had like this. I think, with him in the past, we haven't really heard that much from him, and so to start off the season for him to go on podcasts and, put it out there, like, yeah, I don't get the recognition I deserve, and I want the Rams to test me. I want McVay to have Stafford throw at me, and just to like call out people, and he just had this different confidence about him, and then to see him get voted as captain, and like he just kind of, I feel like, took this whole new roll over on the team, like he's the longest tenured 49er, and now that he's a captain, he just became like this boisterous, safety that we haven't got to see all these years, and that showed up on the field too. He played with that confidence all year long.
Mm-hmm.
And, the Rams, that first game, they did throw at him, damn right Stafford freaking threw at him. And look what happened,
Yeah.
I think he had what, two interceptions that
Two
game?
interceptions
Yeah.
and one was a pick six, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and I think that's one of the biggest knocks that a lot of people have had against our safeties, is that they don't get interceptions. And like, those that of us that watch football know that obviously if people aren't throwing at you, you can't get a ball that's not coming your way.
Mm-hmm.
And Jimmy, nobody ever would throw at him, and we've seen, him get tested, more often this season, and him do a great job with it as well. I
Mm-hmm.
think that, his coverage skills, like, he can cover, and I don't see a lot of safeties in the league that are able to cover the way that he can, man on man, like that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think overall, like, just everything on the field, off the field, his everything that he brought this season. That's why I chose to give it to
Yeah,
him.
and you know what's funny about Ward? Like, he's one of those players, and I hope this happens to Kinlaw, but I hope he gets over the injury sooner. So with Jimmy Ward, he was picked like his first 4 or 5, I want to say, years in the league. He was always hurt.
Yeah,
Like I was just like, man, and there was times where people were just like, man, we need to get rid of him. Like he doesn't do nothing for us, blah blah blah. But everybody kept taking a chance on him, and everybody kept saying, like, even Salah, he was like, everybody was asking him, like, how come you brought back Jimmy Ward and this and that? He was just like, well, when you can bring back your best players, that's what we need to do. Yeah. So 49er minded. I started off as a quarterback, but so here's the thing: I'm only 5'8". I'm not tall. Okay, I'm a 5'8". So all the way up until my 8th grade year, I played quarterback. Then my coach was just like, hey man, you're having issues here. You can't see over the line, this and that. So then he moved me to fullback because I've always been like short and stocky dude. You know what I mean? So he moved me to fullback. So I played fullback on offense, and I played strong safety and weak side linebacker on defense. So those are the positions I played when I actually got into high school. So yeah, so with Ward, like everybody kept saying, oh, he's the best player, he's a great player when he's on the field, and everybody was like, well, we never see him on the field.
right.
So I think, I don't know what the heck he did. Like I don't know if he started eating different, or maybe the way he worked out, I don't know. But since he has been healthy, and he's been healthy pretty much for the last like 4 seasons, and I got to give him his props. Like he's turning it around. He's pretty much there for us week in and week out. So Jimmy Ward is one of my favorite players on the team, just because he doesn't get the credit he deserves. Like he literally should have been in the conversation for Pro Bowl this year because of what he does. But people are so enamored with interceptions and stuff
Yeah.
like that, so he doesn't get the recognition.
Yeah, I think, as well as the injuries at the beginning of his career, they had him playing out of position all the time. They're sticking him at corner, they're sticking him here, they're making him play this position, that
Exactly.
position. All the time it was a new position. But like you said, it says something that he made it through all those coaching changes, and that
Mhm.
rarely happens that a player makes it, if the coach that drafted them leaves, a lot of times, the new coaches, the new staff coming in, if that player is like not, a plus plus player, like they're off the team.
Yeah.
And he made it through all those coaching changes,
Yeah.
to be on the team this long. And I think that does say something for him.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And I don't know how much money we're gonna have and stuff like that, but if it's doable, because he's this 2022 is his final year of his contract. I would like to give him an extension, like
Yeah.
something that maybe like a team friendly deal, because he did that in the first place. Because the Raiders offered him more money, but he
Yeah.
wanted to come back to the Niners. So I mean, I don't know if he's gonna be like, I'm tired of doing team friendly deals. I've earned my money, but who knows? He seems like a pretty humble guy and stuff. So hopefully they can give him an extension and maybe make it worthwhile where like it's incentive based. Like if you play this many games, you make this many tackles, or whatever the case may be, and let him bank on himself like Sherman did when he came. Like
Right.
he had a small deal where it was only a few million, but he was just like, hey, if I make the Pro Bowl, you give me an extra 2 million and stuff like that. Like you bank on yourself to get that extra money.
Yeah. Yeah, I would hate to see him, have to finish off his career somewhere
So
else, the last
exactly.
couple years that he has left, and,
Hmm.
not be able to, after this long, sticking it out on our team through all those bad seasons and bad coaches, and then for him to have to leave. I'm sure they could probably
Yeah.
work something out because I'm sure he would want to finish his, career with one team
The
as well.
Niners. Yeah, absolutely.
Offensive player.
So I'm gonna give it to Trent Williams. Don't tell me you picked the same one. You, that's why me and you are a team. We think alike.
Yep.
So it's obviously, I mean, we're all Niner fans. We all know that Debo was a beast this year. He did his thing, but Trent Williams was the highest graded offensive lineman, not just tackle, offensive lineman throughout the whole year. He's definitely the best offensive lineman in football, and it's not close in my opinion.
Right.
Like he dominates people. He makes people look like man amongst. I mean, he's a man amongst boys. He ragdolls these dudes like they're his children. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just sits there and he does his thing. So yeah, I'm gonna give it out to Trent Williams. Obviously, like I said, Debo did his thing, but an honorable mention I want to name is Laken Tomlinson. That man has been a monster for us. He's going into a free agency as well this year. We need to keep him. Like I would hate for him to go as well because he was one of the first players that John and Kyle traded for when they got here. They're like, we needed a guard, and they traded for him. I want to say Kyle's first season here. So he's been with Kyle on this team ever since Kyle's been here when they traded him from the Lions. So yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go Trent Williams just because the dude he is the anchor of that offensive line. So
Yeah. I think he was the highest graded PFF. I mean, PFF, take it for what it's worth, but
yeah,
the highest graded player
yeah,
ever in the history of PFF this season. Um, and something always sticks in my head of George Kittle saying, like when you can pick up a human being and move them from point A to point B, like, and that's what he does literally game after game after game after game, every single game. Like you see him just pick up these guys that are, not just like a person like me and you, they're NFL players
yeah,
too,
exactly.
they're big guys, they're offensive linemen, and he picks them up and just moves them like they're nothing. And it's crazy. Like I can't remember seeing a player, do that like he does so consistently like that.
Yeah, the last offensive tackle I seen who dominated like that, and what I was about to say, Joe Thomas for the Browns was good, but he was more finesse. Like I never seen him just manhandle people. But I remember the offensive lineman from Baltimore, his name was Jonathan Ogden. He was like that. Like he manhandled people, and he's definitely. I don't know if he made the Hall of Fame yet, but he'll definitely be in if he hasn't been there
Yeah.
yet. But yeah, that's who Trent Williams kind of reminds me of, that same mold of just somebody who was just like, I bet you DNs line up across from him and they're just like terrified. Like, man,
Yeah.
he's gonna body slam, he's gonna pancake me, whatever the case may be. Like, it's just there's no getting past that guy.
Yeah, and to be able to be that strong and that big and then that athletic,
Agile,
and
yeah.
he still makes it like halfway down the field when he's like blocking, for the running backs, and it's not like he's just this big ass guy that can't move or anything. Like he takes off too, like
Yeah.
it's crazy to see somebody just, that massive and that strong and just like like I don't know, like I can't even put into words just like how
Yeah.
physically like just
Gifted.
massive and
Yeah.
gifted he is, like
Yeah.
yeah. So like you said, there was, Debo obviously, but I have him for other awards, so
Yeah. Same.
um for offensive player I had to go Trent.
Yeah.
um Special teams player, and I know you said this is a hard one because our special teams sucked, but
Yeah. Special team was terrible. I'll probably go with. I'm gonna go with Hafanga. I feel like he was pretty good. I feel like, he was down there making tackles and stuff like that. And, it sucked that he ended up, I know he felt bad when he hurt his own teammate in Cannon, but, for the most part, I liked the way he went down the field. I felt like, those are the only reps that were really allowed to give him as far as him not being a starter because of Tart. But yeah, I'm
yeah.
gonna give it to Hufanga. And the thing about Hufanga too, when he gets down there, he doesn't whiff on tackles. Like if he's down there, he's gonna make that tackle. He's sound when it comes to tackling for sure. So I'm gonna give it to Hufanga.
Yeah. I'm excited, I think we've talked about that before about the player that he's going to be, and like you said, obviously his defensive snaps have, been cut down because of Tart and because he's been injured. But I just love the energy, the excitement, just everything that he plays with. Like I get excited watching him play.
Mhm.
Um I went with Robbie. At the beginning of the season, I think in a lot he everybody gives him a hard time because the amount of money that he makes and him being old, and I haven't really been too fond of him since the whole holdout thing, and I just wanted his ass to be shipped back to Chicago because,
Yeah.
like he was playing punk games, but um he actually, ended up having a great season. He was 20 for 23 on his um kicks. He only missed one extra point. So, and actually, his percentage of kicks made was higher this season than it was even in 2019.
Mm.
So, I mean, he had, a great season. And then for him to fill in, when Wish went out this past week against the Rams, and him having to take on those duties as well, something that, he doesn't do. And I wanted to touch on that as well with Juice, filling in as the holder. Like,
Mhm.
they came through to have
Yeah.
to, take on things that I know that they said this week that they practice that, and Juice, always practices holding, and he said he
Mhm.
wanted to be a holder in the NFL
Oh, is
this
that what
week.
he said? I
Yeah,
didn't
he
see that
said,
press
yeah, when
round.
he was in school that that's what he thought he was going to make it into the NFL for, was holding.
Oh
But he
wow.
didn't know at the time that, they didn't that you couldn't just be like, that like he couldn't just come into the NFL as a holder,
Well,
like so that's why he ended up being a fullback. But so yeah, I think like he stepped it up, and I mean, it's not his fault. Like I'm not going to count another man's pockets, so it's not his fault he gets paid what he gets paid, but
yeah.
yeah, I mean, he's been pretty clutch for us, and hopefully if it comes down this week against Dallas to have to our kickers, I feel confident in Gold over their kicker, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And like you said too, special teams was not great this year, so
Not at all. Yeah.
it wasn't. I did though want to give a special shout out to Trenton Cannon, because prior to him getting injured and, getting being out, he was like our only kick returner that's did anything this season. And
Mhm.
he had 16 returns for 328 yards, 20, like basically 28 yards a return,
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah.
along a 68. And ever since he went out, like nobody's come close to those numbers whatsoever.
True.
So special shout out to him.
Yeah.
Let's go to our MVP.
Taishan Samuel, and it's not close.
Yep.
Um, I want to give a shout out to him too. I know it's been about a week or so, or week or two, but congratulations on your baby. You know, your son. He named him Tyson Samuel Jr. So hopefully we'll see the Samuel Jr. on the back of his jersey pretty soon. So
Yeah, he said next
I mean,
season.
sorry, Samuel Senior. Sorry, but yeah, Samuel Senior on the back of his jersey. But yeah, yeah. I mean, without this man, the offense did not go. Like the offense, just I mean, he's well. I'll say this. I mean, I'm not going to say he's all the offense, but him being on the field just creates a lot of opportunity for others. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show you, like like when he didn't play that game, which game did he sit out? Was it I can't
Mm,
remember.
whatever game
Anyway,
Kittle had a big game.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, the game that he set out, like, I was worried. Like, I'm like, man, we'll probably lose because he's not in the game. Like, it was worrisome him not being there. So yeah, it's Debo Samuel. And the man had what, a total of 15 touchdowns. It was like 8 receiving, 6 rushing, or vice versa, and then the 1 passing touchdown to Juwan Jennings. The man can do it all.
Yeah.
He's the ultimate Swiss Army knife. To me, he's like a combination of Anquan Bolden and Percy Harvin. His body type, like he's so physical. And I'm like, and me when I played football, I mean, I don't like the game of being finesse. I want to put you on your tail. I want you to go home and be sore and remember I'm the one that hit you. Like
Yeah.
that's how I play, and I feel like that's how he is. That's why like. I love me Anquan Bolden and Steve Smith. Steve Smith when he played for the Carolina Panthers. I
Yeah.
love that physical, and that's what Debo is. So yeah, he's been amazing. He's going into his contract because he's a second round pick. You like that, JV? He's a second round pick. So yeah, he's gonna get the bag. He's gonna get. I think he's gonna command at least 20 million a year because I looked at the contracts for the wide receivers, and I don't think he'll set the market because I don't think they're gonna pay him 27 million like DeAndre Hopkins because DeAndre Hopkins is the highest paid receiver, 27 million. I don't see that with Debo. Maybe in incentives, but I think he'll get a base of at least 20. So yeah, he's definitely the team MVP.
While you're on that, John V had asked earlier, could you two see Bosa let go for Debo's payday?
No. Um, So this is what's going to be interesting. So there was so many chat, and I don't want to go left with this conversation, but so there's been so much chatter, on Spaces, on Twitter, press conferences. I mean, people who cover the 49ers been saying that if we win the Super Bowl with Jimmy, is a possibility he can stay in 2022 and fulfill the end of his contract. Because after this year, I know you don't want to hear that, Miriah. Let me stop saying it. It's why you finish drinking. I don't want you spitting out your drink. But no, there's been chatter of Jimmy staying on this team for 2022 because this is the final year of his deal, and it'd be hard to let go of his quarterback that just won a Super Bowl. I get it. Like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that because I want to see my boy play and Trey. But I don't see how it would be feasible to keep Jimmy because he's not going to take a pay cut if he wins a Super Bowl. That's not happening. So he's due to make 25 next year, not 25. I don't see it possible because Bowles is not going to be the type of player who's going to just wait for his money. If it's time for him to get a contract, he's going to want his money because he'll sit out just like his brother did.
Yep. And we see
So,
the kind of money his
yeah,
brother's
and with
making.
his
So don't think
brother,
Bosa's going to take any less.
oh, he's gonna get more. Yeah, he'll get
Yeah.
more than his brother. So you're looking at that. So no, I don't see that. I think with Jimmy being gone, we have to keep those two. Yeah. Oh, I agree, John V. I'm just talking about the team as a whole. So let's go hypothetical. Let's just say we do win. Okay, we do win, and there's conversations behind the door, behind the closed doors, like, man, we just won a Super Bowl. How would it be? How would it hurt the locker room that we won a Super Bowl and we get rid of the quarterback that helped us get there? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's going to be some conversation, whether we like it or not. So then it's going to be down to, okay, well, it's a business as well, because if you keep Jimmy, that means you can lose out on other pieces. So let's just say if he stays, okay, JV, let's just say he stays. You got to pay Debo because he's in his final year of his contract, just like we did Fred Warner. We paid him on his last year. We got Debo, Laken Tomlinson. You have Aziz, DJ Jones, and Tart. There is no way you're bringing back some of these pieces with Jimmy's contract on the books. if that makes sense. So no, I don't think that they're gonna sacrifice one for the other. I think they're both here. I think they both have make contributions to the team. The best thing about that is if Nick Bosa can be patient and say, "Look, bro, I know you're going to your fourth year. Same with Debo, but you are a first round pick, so you get the fifth year option. So if you can wait till 2023, and we'll pay you then. But we'll see how it all pans out, JV."
Yep, I agree. Um, and yeah, for the MVP, I mean, there's no other choice but Debo. And for every reason you laid out, he's done everything for us this season.
Yep.
Um, I mean, he's set like all kinds of different records for, to be in the first wide receiver with that many running, but running touchdowns, and um, he's you can't even like put him into a position. It's
No.
like he's not a wide receiver. Like he's an athlete. Like he's a football player. Like he's a do it all. I can't. And I don't even think like you're talking about the contracts like that we could even make a choice, between those two. Like I don't think that that's a choice to be made. Like those are
No.
two players that you have to keep. You figure it
Yeah.
out how to pay them,
And
Debo
and
and Bosa.
and to be honest with you, Mariah, I'm gonna be real here. Might not be popular, but if it comes to a point in time where we're cash strapped and we're like, man, I don't know if I can pay Debo and Nick Bosa, I'm cutting Eric Armstead.
Yeah,
I mean, if I have to pick two out of the three, Armstead, you got to go. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
he's getting paid 20 million in 2022. Like I said, I don't like to count a man's pockets, but that's who I'm. If I have to do anything, if I'm like, man, I can't cut no corners. I'm trying to do like if you do all you can to try to sign them both, and you can't because of other contracts. Because you got to remember, we're paying Kittle what like 18 million. Fred Warner's getting 18. Armstead's getting 20. Trent Williams is getting 20. So we have a lot of big contracts on this team. So I'm sorry, that's what's going to happen. So you're right, Mariah. You can't really pick between the two. Like they're a package deal. They came in the same year in the draft. You have to keep them both.
yeah. And especially like you're gonna be paying Armstead 20 something million for what he does compare, and then let Bosa walk out the door for,
Yeah.
like that's yeah, something you can't let happen.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
um so yeah, there's nothing more to say about Debo.
Yeah.
He's everything for our team.
Yeah, for sure.
um let's do the most improved player.
It's an easy one for me. Aziz Al Shair. That's another one, a restricted free agent.
Yeah.
You, I think he's a must keep. So yeah, what's close to 27, man. Yeah, Aziz Al Shair. I mean, he's impressed me this year. He's been a monster. I know these last couple of games he's been banged up, but at one point I feel like he was playing even better than Fred Warner.
Yeah.
Like he was all over the place. Like he runs to the ball. He's physical. Like he's probably one of the hardest hitters on our team. Like he lays the hat to you. And the fact that fool went undrafted is impressive.
Yeah.
So that's a more shout out to D'Amico Ryans, in my opinion, because he was a linebacker coach for years until this year, and he's groomed these linebackers. Like we don't have any first or second round linebackers on this team. You got Fred Warner, who's a third round pick. Aziz and Flanagan Foles weren't even drafted. Drake Greenlaw was a fifth round pick, and they all come in there and they do their thing. So Aziz, I mean, more power to you. You've done your job. You've been impressive this year. So yeah, he definitely gets my most improved player this season.
Yeah. And I like them together, Aziz and Warner, and then with Greenlaw as well, because like you said, Aziz is a hard hitter. Greenlaw's the same, he's physical out there. And as we see, Warner, he doesn't play as physical as those
No,
guys,
he
he's
doesn't.
more finesse.
Hmm.
So like we need those hard hitters, alongside him. That's why I love, we've had that discussion, with Aziz and Greenlaw before. And I like them both, for that reason, because they're hard hitters. And but yeah, Aziz has been awesome this year when he's been healthy. I actually went with Tom Compton.
That's a good pick. I almost picked him too.
And to see him, everybody was so pissed off to have him on our team this year and to be taking a roster spot that somebody else could have, and all this. And this is his ninth season in the league, and he's been, not great up until this point. But, like we had to call on him to fill in, for injury and become a full-time starter, which, nobody wanted to see. And we thought that was it, like this line was going to be complete trash after that.
Yeah.
And he's actually done, he's held his own. I'm not going to say he's been fabulous, but for, him to step up and week in and week out and be exactly what we need, he does exactly what we need him to do.
Hmm.
And yeah, he
Yeah.
gets beat once in a while, but so did the people that he's, filling in for. So, yeah, I think that he has done so much better this season than what we've seen out of him in the past. So, I mean, that's why I chose him.
Nice pick. Yeah, he was the other one I was thinking about too. So great
Um,
minds.
yeah. Next, let's go. Let me see where we're at here. Let's go with the surprise player. A player
Mm.
that you were surprised with how they maybe you didn't expect too much out of them and they ended up being somebody.
So that's
Or it could
funny.
be the opposite way as well.
No, so that's funny you say that. So this player who surprised me, I'm going with Tom Compton.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the one that surprised me the most for the reasons that you just said. Like I thought when we lost Mike McGlinchey, I thought for sure it was gonna be Jalen Moore. Yeah, because he filled in for Trent Williams in that game. So yeah, I feel like it's Tom Compton, and it's funny because I saw this article that from weeks 13 to 18, he was actually graded higher than Trent Williams. Like
Yeah.
Trent Williams obviously got the best rating for a whole 18 weeks, but yeah, Tom Compton was his rating was just as high and a little bit higher than Trent Williams. So he's been doing his thing, and it's been
Yep.
very surprising to me. Like I thought for sure that right side of the line was going to be a turnstile, but him and Brunskill been doing their thing. So I have to give props to both of them. But I'm more impressed with Tom Compton because I felt like Daniel Brunskill, he's more versatile and he actually plays and he doesn't do a bad job. But Compton was one of those, like you said, like, man, why is he on this team and
Yeah.
this and that. So yeah, so I'm gonna go with Tom Compton for surprise player.
Yep. That's a good one. I'm gonna go with Arden Key, and basically for all those same reasons because he stepped in and filled in. When I pretty much didn't know what to expect from him. Like we get him from the Raiders and he's just there talking shit about the Raiders. Oh, I didn't like it there, and like you don't normally see players that do that, like are so quick to throw their past team under the bus. So I was like, okay,
Yeah,
well maybe there really was something bad there. Um and then I was like, okay, so if anybody can make him do something, obviously it would be Chris Kasarik. And I think, especially towards the second half of the season, he's really stepped up and been a key piece of that defensive line and done a great job. And
absolutely.
it was, brought up in the pressers this week about, like him playing himself into a bigger contract. I wanted to ask you, and they asked him about it as well. And he said that, he wants to be here but he's just focused on this season
Focus
right
on
now and
yeah.
blah blah blah. Do you think that he is one of these that, he just comes here for a year and Chris gets him into a bigger contract somewhere else and we end up losing him next season?
Possibly just because that's what happened with Kerry Hyder.
Yep.
Kerry Hyder came here and he was like kind of like an afterthought, kind of like what's up, Melissa?
Hey, Melissa.
He was kind of an afterthought, you know, in the league, and we get him on a cheap deal, and he gets with Chris Kasarik, and he turns him into a sack guy. With he led the team with 8.5 sacks.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then obviously he left to get his bag with Seattle, but now I don't even know if he's in the league. Like I mean, he is, but I'm just saying, like you don't
Yeah.
hear about him, you don't hear anything about him. So yeah, I hope. Well, here's the thing: if these players were smart, I'm not saying they're not, but I'm saying they're smart. They would wait until 2023 because that's when the salary cap is supposed to go way up, so they can get way more money. I wouldn't be mad if he came back like on a 1 year deal, like maybe 4 or 5 million or something, just like of a prove it deal, and then we can talk about a future, for 2023. But yeah, I hope not, because we've been talking about this for a while, the last couple of weeks and spaces, because, simple fact that, the season's almost over, even though we're in the playoffs, but now it's getting close to like free agency talk. And then, like, so we had asked ourselves, like, give me 5 free agents who were a must have to keep on this team. And he's always mentioned.
Yeah.
He's always in everybody's top 5. So that just goes to show you that the fans know how good he is in the system, and that a lot of fans want him back on this team. So, and he's in my 5 too. Like, he's him along with Tomlinson and Jones, Aziz, and Tart. Like, I want all those 5 back. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
so yeah. So Key's always mentioned. So I hope he doesn't leave, but I wouldn't blame him if he did.
Yeah. Let's flip that and do who you're most surprised with, as in, like, upset. Like, you thought that they were going to have a better season than what they ended up having.
I'm gonna say this guy's name only because, well, I'm gonna say this guy's name, but it's not his fault. I'm gonna go Brandon Ayuk. I thought he was gonna be like a 1,400 yard wide receiver. I thought he was the number one receiver entering the season just because of how he played last year. I thought he was gonna take that big leap, kind of like how Justin Jefferson did this year, or like I wouldn't say like a Cooper Cup, because Cooper Cup had an amazing season, but something like a Justin Jefferson, where he just like that, you can tell the difference from first year and second year.
Yeah.
But the fact that he didn't play, so I'll flip it this way: I'm surprised that he didn't succeed as I thought he was, but I am impressed that as much turmoil that he had during the first 5-6 weeks, that he still almost had 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll say about Ayuk. So yeah, that's the only reason why I'm disappointed, because of how his season started.
Yeah. Obviously, I was expecting a lot more from him this year
Yeah,
too.
for sure.
And I'm hoping that, next season with Trey, that ends up, being a real great connection between those two, and we
Hmm.
see that leap. Um, because like you said, yeah, he came back, the end of the season or second half of the season, and has done great things. And
Oh, for
it
sure.
seems like whatever there was between him and Kyle, like, like they're on great terms now, and it seems the quarterbacks trust him, both of them. So, yeah, hopefully we do see him have the season we thought he would this year, next year.
Can you put Melissa's chat back up there about Juwan Jennings and Jalen Hurd?
Mm,
Wanted to touch on that real quick.
okay.
Yeah. No, you're right. I remember you in the beginning of the season. I think Kyle, let I hate saying this, but I kind of think he let his ego get in the way, because he was so high on him, and he wanted him to succeed so bad that he kept him on his roster probably a year too long. You know what I mean? Because he was hoping for the best for him. Because I feel like Jalen, out of those two, if both are healthy, obviously Jalen has the most talent. He's more explosive and stuff like that. He can be used, like, I feel like he could be used how Debo is used, just because he used to be a running back in college. So he has that capability to be like a Debo light. So I understand why Kyle did what he did. But yeah, I think you and Dion were both saying that we need to cut him and give Juwan Jennings a shot. So yeah, I do agree with you. And I think, if I want to add, well, you know what? I'm not going to take your shine, because you might pick him up. But I was going to say another surprise player who didn't do what I thought was Trent Sherfield. The way he was, and I know it's preseason, but I thought I had huge, the way they were talking about him, the way he looked like he was so good, and he scored our first touchdown in the league this year in week 1 when Trey went in.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, this is going to be the norm, and I thought he was going to. I don't think he was going to lead us in receiving, but I thought he'd have something around like 600-700 yards maybe, and maybe 6 touchdowns, but it didn't work out that way. So
Yeah, with Sherfield, I was expecting him to have a better season as well, but my expectations for him also came along with him playing with Trey.
sure, yeah,
So, like, I never seen that there was a connection with him and Jimmy from the jump. So I was
yeah,
expecting that if Trey started, Sherfield would be one of his main number one go tos, but obviously that's not the case with Jimmy.
yeah.
Um, so I actually chose two other players.
Okay.
Um, and one as well, I don't know how much it's his fault either. Maybe he didn't show what he needed to show at the beginning and preseason or whatnot. Who knows? But that's Trey Sermon. I was expecting, especially with as high as we drafted him, um, and with this coaching staff's history on drafting running backs, for them to draft him that high, I was expecting that we would see a lot of him. Now, part of that too, I was expecting that he is a piece that goes with Trey Lance as well. Um, so I think that that kind of has a little bit to do with it, but I was still expecting that we would see him more than we have.
Yeah.
Obviously, aside from injury. Even when he's healthy, we've seen him be a healthy scratch. We've seen him be healthy and just be a bench warmer. So I'm not, who knows what's going on with that whole situation, but yeah, I
Yeah.
was expecting a lot more out of him. And then the other one is going to be Sosa. I was really expecting, that, like it it's kind of strange that they picked up a player to play out of position. Number one, that's something that we always talk about that I can't stand. But I was expecting a lot more out of him, especially, playing that opposite side as from Bosa, for him to have a more of an impact than he's had. And up until the last couple games, we hadn't really seen anything at all from him. And so that's kind of, um, strange to me.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, if we even see him on this team next year, because I think he signed a 2 year, but
He did. Yeah, he did.
I'm I don't know. I'm
I think it.
thinking that we could probably get somebody else to fill that role.
Yeah, it's true. I think it depends on what happens with all the other free agents. Like if we start losing a bunch of guys, I think he might stay, especially if we lose some guys on the line. So yeah, Ross Dwelly. Yeah, that's a good pick. I mean, he got overtaken by Charlie Warner as a number 2 tight end. So
Yeah, I don't really know what's the deal with Ross Dwelly. Like
I think it's his
because he
blocking.
doesn't block. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's his blocking.
because he has. It seems like he has sure hands, but
Oh, for sure.
to be a tight end, especially with this team, you have to be able to block.
Yeah.
Mo Hurst.
Hmm.
I mean, there's a few, that
Yeah. There's a yeah.
yeah, it seems like that now. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Um, let's go with the coach of the year. And this can be position coaches all the way from top to bottom.
Okay. I'm gonna say. So I had a feeling who you were gonna pick, so I went the opposite. I'm gonna go Chris Kosaric. Even though it took the defensive line to get home, for a while at first. Like I feel like what we expected from this D line, because after the third preseason game, that position group was the most kept. They kept 9 players. Oh, on that defensive line. I'm like, man, I was so excited. Like, man, we're gonna see so much rotation and this and that. But yeah, I think after they finally figured it out and they traded for a Minihue from the Texans, when they traded for him, and they were like, and John Lynch came out and said like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and keep Eric Armstead inside at his true position. We're gonna keep him there. And as soon as they moved him inside, he's been pretty dominant. And you know me, as much as I'm on Eric Armstead's head, because I feel like for him because of Debo getting so much double teams, you need somebody to step up. Like if you're getting one-on-one coverage, if you're getting a single blocker, you getting paid as a top 10 defensive tackle, I want you to be able to rush the passer. It don't have to be sacks, just as long as you're getting in there and you're making them uncomfortable, whether it's them throwing the ball away or them making a bad decision, especially you being 6'7". You get in there, you bat that ball down.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I felt like he was pretty disappointing. But as soon as they moved him inside, he was doing his thing. DJ Jones has come alive, like you said, Arden Key. Chris Kosaric brings out the best in guys. Like I feel
Yeah.
like he's the kind of guy who gets people paid. So you got somebody like Kerry Hyder who got his money. You got somebody like Arden Key that's probably gonna go somewhere else and get his money. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to Chris Kasarik, even though there's somebody else who I feel like has been amazing this year, but I'll let you get to it.
Yeah. Like Melissa said, I'm gonna go D'Amico Ryan. And yeah, I mean, to come in as a rookie, first time coach, and to be hit right off the bat, losing your top corner and then just injuries down the line after that. Um, it's like every week, he's had to deal with different injuries and every position group, like we've been so thin at some position groups, and
For
week
real.
after week we kept saying, like who's going to guard these wide receivers? This team has such great wide receivers, like I'm sure we're going to be saying that in a few minutes again. And yet they come out and somehow still manage to stop these people. It's like it's crazy what he's done. And even like we talked about this before, people are calling for Salah's job the first what 2 years into the third year, and I think a couple rough games for D'Amico, well, for the team in general, but of course people blame D'Amico. Um, and he's done great the rest of the season.
Yeah.
He's been able to go into a game and make the necessary changes and do what needs to be done. And yeah, I think that he's been great, and I know that you'll want to speak on him, so go ahead. You
Can you
want to
hear
talk?
me?
Yeah,
Oh, my thing came unplugged for a minute. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I love D'Amico Ryan's. You and I have been defending him all year. Like, people were like first two, like after that Packers game, like so many people were calling for his head. Oh, I can't believe he let Devontae Adams beat us one man, and is uh, we only lost because of the defense, blah blah blah. And I'm just like, look, like that was probably I mean, and I don't even really want to blame him. I feel like he really only had two bad games all year where the defense didn't play well. You can
yeah,
point at that game and maybe the second Arizona game when Colt McCoy was tearing us up. But other than that, like D'Amico Ryan's, I'm honestly scared that he might only be here for 2 seasons.
yeah,
Like, who knows? Like the way he played this year and teams get desperate, who knows? Nobody's requested an interview with him yet, but I honestly think 2022 will be his last year on this team. Like I think he's gonna coach one more year. Yeah, I agree, Tony. He's been amazing. Like I think he comes out next year, and then if we have a healthy Kinlaw, who knows what this team can be in the front seven, and that is gonna make the corners that much easier. Their job that much easier. So yeah, I don't know. I love D'Amico Ryan's. I mean, I hope he gets a raise because if you don't pay him accordingly, somebody else will. So
yeah. Um, who I listed this as the hype man, but who is a player that your favorite player that you get excited watching? Not maybe necessarily didn't fit into any of these, awards that we gave out, but just somebody that you think just shows up and gets gets you pumped when you watch the game.
I think you already know the answer to that one. But I I wore his shirt that day. We went to go watch a Titans game at that bar. I love me some Kyle Juszczyk. Sorry, sorry, Melissa. So I was a fullback, and it was funny because when I was in high school, I don't know, I'm going to show my age right now, but they used to call me the Black Mike Allstott. I don't know if you remember that guy. He was for the
No.
he was a fullback for the Buccaneers, and they'd always put him in on the 1 or 2 yard line, and he would kill. Like he would kill. He'd always get a touchdown. But anyway, I'm sure John V remembers that guy. But yeah, so anyway, I just love Kyle Juszczyk because to me, I feel like he's underutilized.
Yeah.
I feel like in these playoffs they might unleash him a little bit more. But I love me some Kyle Juszczyk, and he's such a team friendly guy. Like I feel like everybody loves him. He's always like greeting people after a touchdown. Like he's one of the first ones to go up to him and high five him, whatever the case may be. So I love me some Kyle Juszczyk. He's my favorite player on the team, followed by Jimmy Ward and then probably Fred Warner. Those are my top threes. But Juszczyk, I mean, he has great hands. He can block. He can play slot receiver. I mean, he just does whatever you need him to do. I mean, he went out there and he was holding the ball for gold. Remember? I mean, because
Yep.
Mitch Wisnowski went out. Like he does it all. He's like another true Swiss Army knife on this team because I feel like he has no weaknesses. And the fact that he's the number one fullback in the league and there's nobody even close, that says a lot. So
Can you believe that he didn't get voted for All Pro this season?
I know I don't get that, but he
That's
did. I mean,
crazy.
he made the Pro Bowl, but I don't know
Yeah,
who made All Pro over him. Do you know who it was?
I don't even know.
I just can't
I didn't
believe
even
that.
know
Like,
there's that many other fullbacks in the league that are
yeah,
worth a shit to make it over him.
yeah, like
I was like,
he's the
wow, that's
best, and it's
crazy.
not close. Like I don't know what these fools are doing here.
What's this? John
John
B's
B.
cracking up.
Probably because I said the Black Mike Allstott.
Oh,
That's probably why he's laughing because that's what they used to call me. They'd be like, because we'd be like on the 1 yard line. They'd be like, let's give it to the Black Mike Allstott. Because every time I'd get on the 1 or 2 yard line, I would just bully my way in.
she loves fullbacks, just not that one.
I know, I know. You love you some Josh Hokett.
um, I went with Ayuk, of course, because he's my favorite player. I just couldn't, obviously, I'm not biased. I'm not going to put him into a category that he
Sure,
can't fit into. But like you said, I think that if he would have had a whole season, we would have seen a lot more out of him. But
easy.
he just was running clear out routes for 5 weeks, so can't really do much there.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, we already touched on him, and everybody knows that I
yeah.
love him.
That's your
So
boy.
yeah.
That's your goat.
But also, I mentioned it earlier. I also love watching Talanoa play as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
he just brings this energy to the game that I just love watching. So he's definitely one of those hype players for me. And then I forgot that for special teams, I also wanted to shout out Tabor Pepper
Oh
because
yeah,
he's just an awesome guy all
yeah.
around. Um, he's like one of the players that communicates, like has so much interactions with the faithful,
On
more than
social
any other
media.
player. I
Yeah.
feel like, yeah, on social media. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I forgot to say too. Now that you brought that up, something that just came fresh in my head. So they interviewed Debo, and they were like, "What position are you?" He was like, "I'm a wide back. I'm a
Yeah,
wide
I saw
receiver
that.
that also plays running back." So I'm like, "That's awesome." So yeah,
Yeah, Melissa, we had brought this up
we're
earlier.
snubbed. Oh, for
I
sure. And
agree.
yeah,
And I think that's all of our awards.
T.O. Yep, and Kasha used him as a secret weapon. Yeah, you remember Tanya? He scored our first touchdown in the Super Bowl on that slant route. I love me some Kyle Juszczyk.
So
JB
playoffs.
still laughing.
We are facing the Cowboys this week, wild card weekend. Um, this is a big. I mean, for those of us that are a little older, the Cowboys are a big, big rival, against 49ers because of our past with them. The younger fans, the Cowboys haven't really been relevant since they've been alive, so
Hmm.
you know, they haven't had to worry about them. How are you feeling going into this game? Um, yeah. How first of all, how is your feeling against the Cowboys? How's that rivalry for you?
Oh, I can't stand them. I was on Javier Vega's show and he asked me like, "Who's your?" Because he knows I'm a little bit older, because he's only 36, but he still knows the Cowboys rivalry. He's same age as my brother. My brother's the same way. Like he can't stand him. But I told him, for me as a 42-year-old man, I hate the Cowboys first. Like it was always Cowboys and then Packers, like those Brett Favre days I couldn't stand, and then it's the
Yeah.
Seahawks. And I feel like this younger generation is all about I can't stand the Seahawks, which
Yeah.
I get it because that's all they know. But Cowboys will always be my number one hatred. I just can't stand them. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's always gonna be the Cowboys. So this game is more important to me than anything. Like, of course I want to win a Super Bowl, but if we can beat the Cowboys and let's just say we have to go into Tampa and we lose to Tampa, I'm okay with that. because of the simple fact that we beat Dallas.
Yeah.
So going into this game, and you know me, I'm a big fans of like the Vegas lines and stuff like that. And this line has been -3 all week. It hasn't moved. So that just shows me that the betting has been 50-50 because the
Yep.
line's not favoring Dallas or not favoring the 49ers any more than what it has. So I feel like it's going to be an interesting game. I'm going to pay attention to the lines tomorrow because I feel like a lot of people are going to go bet on the game tomorrow and Sunday morning before it starts. So, you know, I feel like what's funny about the Cowboys is what they're weak at, we're strong at, and vice versa. So they're not that good in stopping the run. Okay, like that's their. I mean, if they had a weakness, that's their weakness. Like their linebackers, because they used Michael Parsons so much as a blitzer, the middle of the field is kind of weak because Van Der Esch is getting a little bit long in the tooth. He's not as athletic as he used to be, and I don't even know who the other linebacker is. So that's how irrelevant it is.
Yeah.
So they just, I mean, so running on Dallas is not going to be that tough in my opinion. Although it is a playoff game, so the regular season stats can really go out the window because people bring a different element come playoff time. Because there's teams where you can say, oh, they can't do this well, and then they get in the playoffs, and all of a sudden they're doing it well. You know what I'm saying? Because they make adjustments and stuff like that. Um, and with us, as far as good as we run the ball, they're the number one offense in passing. Like they're the number one NFL offense this season. So if we don't get home, that's going to be our issue.
Yeah.
If they give Dak Prescott any time back there, I feel like he'll be able to pick us apart because it's going to allow all the receivers to run free. You know what I mean? And as we know, as good as you can cover somebody, if you're letting somebody run free for so long, they're going to get open because they know where they're going and you don't.
Right.
If you know the route and I'm guarding you, I might be able to stick with you, but eventually I'm going to be like, I don't know what I'm going to do because only you know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think that's what's going to happen is, and I was telling Nick and all them on Spaces, I was like, well, when it comes down to it, if I'm the Cowboys, I'm going to play us just like the Packers played us. Put Dak Prescott in shotgun for 4 quarters so he has more time in the pocket so he can find his receivers. Obviously, that's not what I'm hoping they do, but I
Right.
feel like that would be the blueprint to beat us because Aaron Rodgers was picking us apart because he stayed in shotgun because they had so many injuries on that line, remember?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like our chances. I think what this game comes down to is, one, the quarterback. And here's the thing about Dallas, they're number one in turnovers. So that worries me because we have a turnover prone quarterback.
Yeah.
However, their corners have made, I think their corners had like, I don't know, like 20 interceptions like for their secondary. But the good thing is we have a quarterback who doesn't throw downfield. So
Yeah.
that helps us out because we know his interceptions go to safeties and linebackers for the most part. So that's good. So I think if Jimmy limits his turnovers and he plays clean football, just don't turn the ball over. If he can play clean football and we can run and our pass rush can get home, I think we'll be fine because I think we're the more physical team for sure. I think us and the Titans are probably the most physical teams in football, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're the ones who are still in the playoffs. I think we're the most physical team, so I think we can bully them a little bit. But with the thing is, they have a lot of speed rushers where I feel like that might be an issue for the right side because Tom Compton and Daniel Brunskill, they do more with power guys.
Yeah.
These speed rushers like the Randy Gregory's and stuff like that, if they hit them with the swing move and get past them, there's no way they can keep up with them. So,
And
and Michael,
Gregory's hella fast.
he's fast. Yeah,
Yeah.
Randy Gregory's fast. So I feel like Demarcus Lawrence will probably um, be getting guarded by Trent Williams because he is their best pass rusher with a hand on the ground. So I feel like that'd be Trent Williams. But I feel like Michael Parsons is going to be moved all over that line whatever they feel is weak. Because people don't realize too, and I know a lot of people in here are smart. They know their football, but Dan Quinn and Kyle Shanahan know each other.
Yeah.
They played with each other for a long time, and even though the playbooks have changed over the years, they still know each other's tendencies. So it's going to be an interesting game. I mean, well, I'll wait for the score predictions, but that's what I think was going to happen. I feel like that's how we can win this game. We cannot get in a shootout, and Dallas is 9-0, I believe, when they score first.
Yeah.
So when they score first, it's hard to keep because usually when they score first, they found out a way how to attack a defense. And then if when the opposite team gets the ball and they don't score, most of the time Dallas is up like 2 scores before the first quarter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's something we have to eliminate. So that's my take on it so far.
Yeah, and that's what worries me because we've seen that no matter who we have in at quarterback, it seems like we can't do shit for the first 2 quarters. And if we come out slow like that against this team, it's going to be really hard for us to come back. Um I really hope that it don't come down to us having to throw, if as long as we can keep our running game good and going, that's our best bet. And where else they're bad at is with yak. Their defense gives up a lot of yak. So, if we can just get the ball to Debo in the 5-yard throws that Jimmy is good at, like you said, how's Diggs gonna pick him off then? And Diggs has all those interceptions, but he gives up a shit ton of yards. So,
Yep. Number
um,
one in the NFL, actually. He's
yeah,
given up over 1,000 yards receiving.
yeah. So, Melissa asks right here, who would you guys love to see Diggs be burnt by? Yeah, I would love
Ayuk.
Diggs to be. Yeah, um, I would love to have Diggs on Ayuk or Debo. Either one, I'm happy with.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're gonna have him, you know, just be on one guy, or they're just gonna line him up on the side, and whoever lines up in front of him,
Yeah.
we'll have to see how they end up using him. But
And Melissa, he probably, if I'm him, I'm begging to cover Ayuk because Debo will bully the crap out of him.
and that's the thing. That's where I'm most excited about this game is because um our team is so physical compared to their team. Like I feel like our guys are just going to bully the shit out of their defense. And we heard this week in the pressers, that the bullies are going to get bullied or whatever, their bullshit they're talking. But
Yeah. Yeah, I
um
saw that.
but yeah, like I feel like our guys are way more physical than what their guys are. So um I do feel like obviously they're going to try to stop the run and make Jimmy throw for that reason, because they want the turnovers, obviously. And that's what every team is going to try to do to get Jimmy to throw. And that's what scares me, is because here they have the better quarterback, in this situation. I feel like a lot of the other areas we are better than them, but one of the main things is the quarterback, and they definitely have the best quarterback here.
Absolutely, yeah.
Their run game though is not scary to me. I think Zeke is freaking washed. I think I've been saying that since week 1. He's looked slow. He's looked terrible. Tony Pollard's great, but they don't give him the ball enough because Zeke's there, so um and they have great wide receivers, so it's going to be,
Yeah.
like we say every week, interesting to see our
Yeah.
defense, that back end, how it's going to line up with those wide receivers.
You know what sucks too is like I mean, well, it doesn't suck, or it's actually a blessing for us. Michael Gallup is not playing. So
Yeah.
instead of them having their 4 receivers set, that we have 3 because they have Cooper, Lamb, and they have that guy who just been emerging, and Cedric Wilson. So Cedric Wilson has been, and I've heard all the Dallas Cowboys fans all week, and they've been saying like because Gallup is an outside guy, he doesn't really know how to run routes from the slot position, that he kind of hinders the offense. But Cedric Wilson, he's a better slot guy, so he knows like the route concepts and stuff like that a little bit better, and the offense just flows a little bit more. Like the both times they put up I think they put up 56 one game and then 51 the next game. It's Michael Gallup didn't even play. It was Cedric Wilson. And then they got Blake Jarwin, who's their main tight end. Hey, what's up, Jamal? Who's their main tight end? And Blake Jarwin, even though he's not physical, he's kind of, I mean, I call him, he's more of like a poor man's Mark Andrews. You know, Mark Andrews is for the
Yep.
Ravens. He's kind of like that because even though he's not a great blocker, he's great after the catch. So, and he's fast. So if he gets the ball like out in space, he could be a problem for our linebackers. But yeah, so it's gonna be real interesting, and it's funny you brought up the Ezekiel Elliott thing. in your fantasy football league, I had a chance to get Jonathan Taylor, but I didn't know how good he was going to be yet, and I passed on him for Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
shame
hurts.
on me. Yeah, but anyway, but yeah, no, it's yeah. So they have Dalton Schultz, who's a pretty good tight end. He's not
Yeah.
real athletic, but he has 8 touchdowns this year. Blake Jarwin's their main tight end. So if they get like if they get a two tight end set on us, I feel like Higbee was kind of killing us a little bit, like
Yeah,
because he's a big guy, and we couldn't have people, we didn't have nobody who could cover him.
right.
So and they have two good tight ends. So if they bring out two tight end sets to go with those three receivers, it could get interesting for our defense. Just because, I mean, I'm glad that Dre Greenlaw's healthy because he can cover, but he's a little bit undersized. He's only like 5'11". So
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be. I don't know, man. And Blake Jarwin and Dalton Schultz are both like 6'4", 6'5" guys. So if they look at the last game against the Rams and they see how Stafford kept throwing the Higbee, like on the on the out routes and stuff like that, it could get a little interesting for us. Plus, like I said, they do have Amari Cooper, but Emmanuel Mosley's been playing out of his mind. He's only allowed 28 yards per game, and he hasn't allowed any touchdowns.
Yeah.
So he's shown that he can be a number one corner, and Ambry Thomas is just getting better. So yeah, the line in Vegas is the over unders 50.5. So if they expect it to go, they expect it. So they're guessing it could be something like a 27-24 type game. You know what I mean? So yeah.
More concerned for our O or our D. Um, I'm concerned. I would say our D because, how we're going to match up against, their wide receivers that we just talked about. But I'm actually more concerned of our offense because, like I said, the first, half of games, they haven't been able to do shit. And if we get behind, or, Kyle, it seems like he needs that time to be able to get into a rhythm and get his first shitty plays to then, have different plays then in the third, like we see, like they keep giving the ball to Debo and sending him around, even though it's not working, just so you can have him throw out of that, later. And it's like, we don't have time for all that. If we're doing all that and it's going to take 3 quarters to get something going on offense, we're going to get way put down behind. So
Mhm.
that's what scares me, is that if our offense can't get rolling, or they're somehow are able to stop Elijah Mitchell and stop our run game, and we have to put the ball in Jimmy's hands, that's what scares me.
Yeah, it sounds good. So I've heard from the Cowboys fans all week that their kicker, Greg the Leg,
Yeah.
sucks
Yeah.
first, second, and third quarter, but he's clutch in the fourth.
I
I
don't know.
go,
He's lost a lot of games for him
I go, I
already.
don't, I go. He sounds like our quarterback. Sucks first, two, three, and good in the fourth, but no. But in all seriousness, though, yeah, that's what they were saying. Like they were saying stuff like, yeah, that he's just sucks in the first couple quarters. That he misses extra points and kicks and stuff, but in the fourth, he'll kick it to win a game. So I don't know, but yeah. So this is the thing too. Me and Jamal had talked earlier, and we are talking about the game. So it's like, even though I trust D'Amico Ryans, this is actually his first playoff game he's calling.
Yeah.
So I feel like, maybe I don't know who has some experience in calling games on the roster on defense. Maybe Chris Kasarik or somebody can have, he can give him his opinion or whatever the case may be. But, people can talk about Mike McCarthy all they want, but he does have playoff experience. He is a playoff experience coach, and so is Dan Quinn. So them two together have that pedigree of knowing how to call plays and call games in a playoff atmosphere. And although Kyle does, D'Amico Ryans doesn't. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, if the experience is going to hurt us, or if it's going to come to a point where just like, I think it's going to be who makes a less amount of mistakes and who gets more creative. Because I feel like it's going to take one of those plays like Debo did to Juwan Jennings to throw a touchdown pass or something. Because we can't, because I mean, even though our run game is good, but Kyle, he has to get creative with it at times, just because we have a quarterback who's a statue in the pocket, so he doesn't have a threat. He's not a threat to run, so it doesn't keep the defense as honest. So I feel like it's easier to stop the run that way. So I think that's why Kyle gets so creative and giving it to Debo and stuff like that, because you have to throw the defense off a little bit. So
Yeah. I'm trying to see what was going on in here. The big thing is, can Kyle take advantage of the McCarthy mishandling of clock and other things in games?
We can say the same thing for Kyle. Because Kyle mishandles stuff too. We can go back to the Super Bowl and we're up 20-10, and then he stopped running the football. And then they say that, oh, well, Jimmy was calling out of the run plays and stuff. Well, Kyle's the head coach. No, you stick with what I called because we're up 10 points with 8 minutes left. We need to eat the clock.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we can say the same thing for Kyle, and then, obviously we can bring up the 28-3 mishandling of the clock. You know what I'm saying? So it can go both ways.
With D'Amico and the experience thing, I do remember that they did hire a couple guys that used to be defensive coordinators before, like to kind of help D'Amico throughout the season. So
Mhm.
those guys are there in the background as well somewhere. So
Oh,
I'm sure
yeah.
he has
Oh, that's
enough
good.
assistance there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
That
but
makes me feel better.
yeah, but still, I mean, it's on him to call the plays in the heat of the moment, So I do think, that is a thing that you have to get the experience with. But I mean, he showed us that even though they haven't been as big of games, throughout the season, obviously he didn't have experience going into the season and he's done great. So hopefully he'll be all right. Um, Score prediction.
Okay. 26-24, San Francisco.
All right. I'm going to go. Man. 31-21 49ers.
Nice.
Um, I am worried, like I said, about their weapons. And I do think that this is one of the best quarterback, wide receiver, sets that we've had to face so far.
Hmm.
Um, but I also don't think the Cowboys are that great overall.
Yeah, true.
And they're in a shitty division. They have played, and yeah, you can't help who you play, but
Yeah.
they constantly play shitty opponents, and like the only teams that they beat this year are like not going to the playoffs. There, I think one or two teams that they actually beat are in the
Yeah.
playoffs.
And the Eagles are in
Um,
their division and they beat the Eagles twice. So they beat the
yeah,
Eagles twice and I think they beat the Patriots. So they beat two playoff teams.
yeah,
And I think, I mean, you can argue that the Bengals have weapons too, just like the Cowboys do, but I think the Bengals, like if they would have thrown us the whole time, that might have bothered that might have been an issue for us because they kept trying to run Joe Mixon and this and that, and it didn't happen. And then you just notice in that fourth quarter they started throwing the ball, and that's when they opened it up. You know what I mean? So I feel like Dallas is going to see everything and they're going to look at it, and I think they're going to try to establish a run game. But I think they're ultimately going to end up trying to pass on us all game. But the thing I
yeah,
will say though is I'm glad we're playing Dallas because one, it's a rival, and two, weather is not going to be a factor.
right,
They play in a dome, so we don't have
yeah,
to worry about high winds, rain, snow, none of that. So there shouldn't be no excuses. We should go in there and I don't want to hear nothing about the weather or nothing like that because they play in a dome, and I think this is probably the one of the cleanest games that we're gonna be able to get.
yeah. Um, and I'm expecting the faithful to show up
Yeah,
and be
and it's
loud.
looking like it, and it's looking like it so far.
Yeah, I mean, that was crazy that the how many 49ers were in that Rams freaking stadium last week. And
Yeah,
I
it's
know it's
fun.
close, so that's going to happen, but it
Yeah,
seems like the faithful the last few years have been traveling very
traveling.
well.
Yeah, we travel well. That's one thing about our fan base. We're great at that.
Yeah. Anything else you want to touch on before we go?
No, I think I do like us just because of simple fact. I think when you get in the playoff atmosphere, it goes on who can bully who, and I think we're just the more physical team. I think it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. I don't think it's going to be high scoring. I think it'll be in the 20s. I just have a feeling about that. I just have a feeling that both teams are going to come into play. They both understand this rivalry, even though they're all younger players. But I know that they've been hearing all the chatter, the talk, and how the 49ers, I mean, they've been showing the old classic games on TV, like, oh,
Yeah.
like the catch, and like when Dion was when not sorry when Eric Davis when he picked off Troy Aikman and running back for a six, and so it's been a lot of stuff going on. So this rivalry has, I mean, like I said, these newer guys, these newer ladies and gentlemen don't understand this rivalry because they're so young. But I do believe that these players do know the meaning and they understand. And I just have a feeling it's just it's going to be physical at first. I feel like it's going to be, I think the first quarter, they're going to be filling each other out. So I feel like it's going to be like a 3-3 or 6-3 first quarter. And then they're going to make adjustment. Then they'll start scoring like come second quarter and on. So,
Yeah. Um, I say, just enjoy it. We made it to the playoffs after a season that it didn't start out so great. We didn't think that we were going to be here. Um, I know most of us don't have the quarterback in there that we'd like, and this season was kind of strange, all the way around. But
mm,
let's just enjoy it. Stop trying to kill each other.
yeah.
Celebrate the success and be happy that it's not a lost season after all, because at least we actually are making it to the playoffs. Um, and yeah, next season we'll see what happens with the quarterback situation. We'll get our quarterback in there, but for now, Jimmy's the guy, so we'll ride it out with him as long as we have to this season, and that'll be that.
Yeah.
Um, I Yeah, I'm expecting this to be a good game though. Like you said, those games they've been showing all week, that's been cool to watch. Go
Yeah.
back
Those
down
classic
memory
games.
lane.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to tell everybody too that's watching right now, like and subscribe. I know a lot of you on here already subscribed to the channel, but um, just as we did with the playoff giveaway, we're going to do the same thing. If the 49ers make the Super Bowl, they don't have to win. If they make the Super Bowl, we're going to do another t-shirt and hat giveaway. So make sure you like and subscribe so you can be put in the pot so we can pick your name out and see, who randomly is going to win the gift. So yeah. I love you guys. Like I say every week, I appreciate your support. It's a Friday night. We usually do a Thursday, but I had kind of a family emergency yesterday. But yeah, I hope, like I said, it's a Friday night. You guys could be out at the club, doing something, getting drunk on the dance floor,
I
whatever the
don't live
case
in
may be.
Vegas.
That's true. But some of them live in the Bay Area, though. Well, yeah, I know they don't
They
live
don't
in
got
Vegas where
clubs, all
they don't have all the nonstop partying like we have. But yeah, but it's a Friday night. You guys can be anywhere out doing whatever, but you guys are here supporting us. So I can't say that I appreciate you guys enough.
Yep, I appreciate you guys as well. Everybody going out to Dallas for the game, please stay safe. Have fun, represent us well. Shout out to Breezy. Happy birthday. I love you, brother. I hope you have a great one. You have a safe trip as well. Yeah, I appreciate you guys all for kicking it with us and not clubbing. Hopefully,
If you guys do come to Vegas for this 49er Raiders game, I wanted to take you guys to the Paris hotel because they have this band that plays and they play 80s and 90s R&B, and they have a dance floor and all this stuff, and they play, I mean, not R&B, 80s and 90s music like CNC Music Factory, all this other stuff. So yeah, when you guys come, I have to take you guys there so we can go hang out and have some drinks. I can't wait.
JV's clubbing in his living room.
Are you really? Cool. I'm too
Tanya's
old to
too
be
old.
clubbing.
Yeah,
Usually sleep by 11, huh, Tanya? I feel you.
yeah. I have to tell TL all the time, like, I don't go out. Like, I'm old. Shit. Like, this person's coming to town. Are you going out? No, I don't go out.
Yeah, I know it's funny. T, I'm coming to Vegas. So am I. That's cool. Yeah, no, you know what's so funny though? So when I was in the military, I used to party, like I partied all the time, whether it was in Mexico, like we pulled into Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, and that was some partying, like Australia. So I partied so much in the military. And I got out, I was only 24. I was still young. I came home, all my friends like, let's go to a club. I'm like, nah, I'm cool. Like they're like, dude, you're 24. I'm like, yeah, but the partying in America doesn't come close to what I partied in these other countries. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was funny
Yeah,
though. So
growing up in Vegas, like we were partying before we were old enough to party, I'll say.
yeah.
So I did the whole club scene for years before I was old enough to be clubbing. So by the
Hmm.
time I was actually old enough, I'm like, I'm so over this.
Yeah.
Like that was never my whole scene anyway. Like I'm more
Yeah.
of a sit back and chill type of
Yeah,
person.
me too. I like even now, like even though that place at the Paris, it's not a club, it's more of like a lounge,
Yeah.
and it's cool because everybody over there is like over 30. Everybody's kicking it. There's no riffraff. You know what I mean? All this other stuff. So yeah, no,
Yeah,
I feel
that's
you,
the thing.
Jamal.
Now that we're married and have
Wife
kids,
ain't
like,
about it no more. Yeah,
yeah,
no, I feel you guys. Yep, no, I hear you.
unless it's a strip club, maybe. Maybe
Yeah.
that's different. Also, I saw that Chapman's throwing an event here for the draft as well.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yep. So he'll be throwing a party. I signed up, so I don't think tickets have gone on sale for it yet, or like
Oh,
the
okay.
info's really gone out. But I signed up like for the text notification or whatever.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to
I'll
get in
let you
on
know.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
So it
sure.
looks like there'll be a big event and there's going to be two players there. He announced that one already is Elijah Mitchell,
Oh,
and the
nice.
other one has confirmed with him, but he hasn't said yet who it is. So,
Oh,
but there will be
nice.
two players at the draft event. Yeah.
So he will be here. So are they doing the draft the first day or the second day? Because we don't have
Yeah.
no
I'm not
picks.
sure, or
Oh,
if it's
okay.
the day before or
Either or, it
whatever.
doesn't
Yeah. I'm
matter.
not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. Yeah, I already told John V, what's up, man? Like you coming or what? I set out the itinerary for you and your boys at the locker room rant. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Trust
I
me, I had
saw
my
that.
share of partying. Tanya, no, I feel you on that. Yeah, I do. I've had my partying too, but I love to kick it with people. Like I'm a people person, so I'll sit in a bar or lounge and talk for hours about anything and everything and have some drinks. That's just
Yeah.
my personality. So yeah,
All right,
well,
everybody.
it's cool.
Hopefully, we'll see you guys next week after a win.
Yeah, hopefully.
But either way, we'll be here. We'll see you guys here. Thank you guys again. Everybody stay safe.
All
Have a
right,
great
fam. Take
weekend.
care.